Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to talk lesson 33 today, multiple unit multipliers. So you've been doing unit multipliers so far and you've been doing with just one, right? So you've been converting like inches to feet, inches to centimeters, feet to yards, yards to miles, things like that. Well, now we're going to be doing it with two. So here's how this works. Example number one, make sure you're writing these problems down at home, please. We have 360 inches to yards, inches to yards. It starts the same way as we've been doing it, which is 360 inches, right, over 1 times something. And we know that because inches are on top here, they go on the bottom here. Now, we're going from inches up to yards. So in the meantime, we have feet, right? Once we know how many feet we have, we can go into yards. So in 1 foot, there are 12 inches. Now these guys can cancel out, right? Times, we've got to do it again. So there's feet here, which means feet are going to go down at the bottom here. Now we're going 2 yards, feet to yards. Which one is larger? Yards are, and by not by how many, and how many feet are in a yard? We have 3. Guys, it's really important that you make sure that this is called your unit multiplier, those equal 1. And sure enough, there are 3 feet in a yard, so that equals 1. 12 inches in a foot, so that equals 1. Those are important. It's just a different way of writing 1, right? Because we're allowed to multiply anything by 1. So here's how and then these feet cancel out. So here's what you do. Equals, I'm gonna write it down here so that I have it. Upstairs I have 300, we're gonna deal with numbers first. 360 times 1 times 1. That's just 360. Oh, let me try that again. That's just 360. Then on the bottom, we have 1 times 12 times 3. Well, 1, we don't really matter, that doesn't really matter, right? Because anything times 1 is itself. So downstairs, what we have is 12 times 3. Okay, now looking at all of this, the only unit we have not crossed off is yards. So this is going to be yards. Now, what we can do is the math on this. We would have 360 over 36, right? That's going to give us yards, which equals 10 yards, because 360 divided by 36 will give us 10 yards. This is your answer, but I have to see this, guys. I want to see that, okay? That's you showing your work. All right, so I highly advise you do them like this, because when you get into upper math and upper sciences, you're going to be doing a lot of unit conversions, so these become really important. Okay, give me a second. All right, you guys, so now we have another one. Example number 2. We're going to have 24 miles, and remember the abbreviation for miles is MI, the abbreviation for meters is M, so don't confuse those, to inches. This is going to be a big one. All right. So when we start with our first one, 24 miles, we put that over 1. We multiply that by one thing, and we know that miles are going to be down here. And in 1 mile, we have 5280 feet. 5280 feet. So these guys are equal to each other, which means this whole thing equals 1. Cancel out my miles. But I don't want to go just to feet. I want to go to inches. So I got to do this one more time. Feet to inches, right? Feet to inches. In 1 foot, there are 12 inches. 12 inches. So now I can cross these guys out. Equals, now let's do all the math here. We have 24 times 5280 times 12. Downstairs, I have 1 times 1 times 1. Well, just having 1 downstairs just means 1, right? So we're going to leave that. The only remaining unit I have standing is inches. Okay, if you were to use a calculator to do all of this, you would have 1,520,640 inches. Guys, make sure you're using your units on these. I will absolutely mark them wrong if you do not have your units. Okay, so now it's time to talk about, so this is all you doing unit conversions in form of distance, right? Well, so now we're going to talk about area, and the way that we do this, let's just get a quick refresh. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Well, we do length, or I guess we can, it doesn't matter which one you call. I'm making all kinds of mistakes today, guys. Thanks for your patience. Length times width, right? Equals area. I should say it like this. Area equals length times width. So let's say I have this rectangle here, and it is 10 inches long by 4 inches tall. The area of this thing would be 4 inches times 10 inches, which gives us 40 inches squared, because inches times inches are inches squared. This is where you're hearing things like square footage, or especially square feet. You hear that a lot. So square feet or square miles, that's another one. Miles squared, they're all the same way. And so they can be written in multiple ways. Let's talk feet for a second. You can do feet squared, right? Let's just use 100. 100 feet squared, or you can do 100 square feet, right? Or 100 square feet, right? You can write it all the way out. This, when you see this little 2 here attached to a unit, it does not mean to square this thing. It's only attached to the unit. It's just a shorthand way of writing this, okay? So why is that relevant? Well, let's see. For example number 4, I think I've only done 2. I always mess up my example numbers here, guys. Sorry about that. We're going for 4 square feet to square inches. We want to go from 4 square feet. Well, again, we're going to write this out like this. 4 feet over 1, except that the feet, it's square feet, so we've got 2 feet there. You see that? Now I've written it 2 times. Equal, or oops, not equals, multiplied by, feet are up here, so they're going to go downstairs here, and we're going to inches, right? So inches. In 1 foot there are 12 inches, and that cancels out this. But you guys, I still have a foot there, which means I have to do it another time. 12 inches is 1 foot. This cancels this, right? Equals, upstairs now I have 4 times 12 times 12. And then the remaining units that I have are 2 inches, right? So inches squared, or you could write square inches, I don't care. Downstairs, 1 times 1 times 1 is just 1, so I'm not going to put that in there. So that's how you deal with area, okay? Let's see another one. Example 5. We have used 2 unit multipliers to convert 4 meters squared, or it says square meters, but I'm going to write it like this, to square centimeters. 2 square centimeters. Okay, so 4 meters times meters over 1. And I know I'm going to need meters down here, right? And then another meters, because I've got 2 of them up there, and I have to get rid of them by 2 of them. And meters, we're going 2 centimeters, right? Well, we know meters are larger, and there were 100 centimeters in a meter. This point now, this cancels out with this cancels out with this. Now, downstairs, I just have 1 times 1 times 1, right? So get rid of those. Upstairs, I have 4 times 100 times 100 centimeters squared. And again, you can write it like that, or you can write square centimeters. Those are both acceptable. This part is really important, and now that I'm thinking about it on that last problem, I don't think I did the actual math part where you multiply it out. That's because I want to see things written like this. Now, if I were to multiply this out, it's going to be 4 times 1 times 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And then we go in. So it's going to be 40,000 centimeters squared, or squared centimeters. Okay, let's try another example. So for example number 5, and on that previous one, if you wrote it down, example number 1, apparently the answer was 576. Sorry, I forgot. The math part of it actually isn't all that important to me, like where you multiply it all out, because I know you guys know how to use a calculator. What's really important is seeing that part where you've got it written out so that I can see that you know how to do this. Guys, these get tougher and tougher. So 400 square, example number 6. Actually, what we can do is just launch right into these practice problems. I think that'll be fine. If you need to go back and rewind to do those practice problems again, you absolutely can. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I do want to do those practice problems. Example number 6, here's why. Because this one's one where we're going from larger to smaller. So we're dividing now, not multiplying. Okay, so we use 2 unit multiplier to go 400 square inches to square feet. 400 square inches to square feet. Okay, so we start out with 400 inches times inches, which means over 1, right? Which means we're gonna have to multiply it by 2 things. Inches down here, inches down here. We're going 2 feet, right? Feet, feet. Now, in 1 foot, there are 12 inches. So we're gonna repeat that. These guys get to cancel out because those are all on the bottom, right? So upstairs, that's gonna be 400 times 1 times 1, which just gives me 400. Downstairs, 1 times 12 times 12 gives me 12 times 12. The units that are still standing here, I have feet, feet, so that's gonna be feet squared. So 400 divided by 12 times 12. Now, if we wanted to do the math part of that, that would be 400 divided by 144 feet squared. That gives us, and if you use a calculator to do this part, it's going to be 2 point, which gives us about, that little squiggly thing means about, you're rounding, 2.78 feet squared. But guys, this is the important thing. I want to see that. That is far more important than the answer. If you can do this in your head, great, but I still want to see you work it out. And the reason being is because it gets much more complicated when you hit algebra next year, and then even after that, when you hit the chemistry and physics. And your chemistry and physics teachers will not allow you to just skip that. You have to show your work. So I'm going to get you started on that now. All right, so for these practice problems, we've got I'm on page 110. 6 miles, 2 inches. All right, let's do this. 6 miles over 1 times miles to miles, right? And in 1 mile, there are 5,280 feet, because we're going down, so we want to go down to feet. And then from feet, we want to go down to inches, right? And in 1 foot, there are 12 inches. So let's cancel out. This cancels out with this. This cancels out with this. Downstairs, I have 1 times 1 times 1, done. Get rid of those. Upstairs, I have 6 times 5,280 times 12, and the only unit I have remaining is inches, so all of that inches. Now you can use a calculator to solve that answer. I don't care. I prefer to see just that where I wrote it like that, okay? But if you want to use a calculator, fine. That's fine too. 20 feet squared to inches squared. Okay, so we're going to do 20 feet squared means we need to do it 2 times. Feet times feet over 1, which means now I know I'm going to be multiplying twice, right? All right, so this has feet upstairs, so it needs to go downstairs here and downstairs here. We're going down to inches, so in 1 foot there are 12 inches, and in 1 foot there are 12 inches. Let's cancel out what we can. This cancels, this cancels, this cancels, this cancels, and so all this equals, downstairs I have 1 times 1 times 1, get rid of it. Upstairs I have 20 times 12 times 12, and then do you see that? 20 times 12 times 12. The only units I have remaining are inches and inches, which means inches squared. Again, you don't have to do the math on this if you don't want to. If you wanted to, let me just do it so that we've got it. 144 times 20, 2,880 inches squared, okay? Excellent work, guys. If you have any questions, let me know, because unit multipliers can be a big fat pain in the butt. I know that. My algebra kids hate them, so I know that you guys probably do too. But either way, I'll see you in class. Thanks, guys.